Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of That Football Podcast, your weekly dose of everything football. Now, Sammy Barry is with me again. He has returned back to Jujuy just for a small vacation or a little holiday, as you might say. So this is podcast episode 13. So do not forget, before we get into this video, to like, subscribe, and follow the channel. And Sammy Barry, so why are you back in Jujuy right now?
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me back. Always a pleasure. I'm only back in Jujuy for probably less than a week. I've only come up to sign a pre-contract with the club for the season 2026. So hopefully coming back in January. It's October at the moment, 2025. So yeah, the plan is sign the pre-contract, get a few stuff sorted at the club, and then I should be going back to Australia soon to see the family and hopefully come back in January.
So what's happened? Because obviously last time we had you on the podcast just for yourself, talking about your story, you were playing for Gimnasia Jujuy, and now you've obviously left. It's been, 4 or 5 months? What's happened?
Well, what's happened has been pretty much I had contract issues. They couldn't sign me in time in the transfer window because I still had a contract in Italy. So I made the decision to leave and go to a third division club where it was possible for them to sign me. So I went to Sol De Mayo in Viedma to make my professional debut, first team debut, where I played 11 games. And yeah, that's where I've been. That's where I went to.
So Sol De Mayo, talk us a little bit of what this club's like, where it's located and how it is, in your opinion.
Well, it's located 2 hours flight south from Buenos Aires. They play in the third division, Federal A. It's a very, very difficult competition. Physicality, it's definitely the most physical league I've ever played in. So in terms of experience and development, it's been very good for me. I think it's been a very good decision because at the end of the day, playing games is the most important. I was training here, waiting to play games. Obviously, that didn't happen, so I made the decision to move down a division and play first team football. So I think it was a very good decision. I've got nothing bad to say about Sol De Mayo.
What do you think the difference is? Because obviously you've trained first team football in second division of Argentina at a top club, Gimnasia Jujuy, who are currently, they're in the playoffs right now to get promoted to the next division. How do you compare that to Sol De Mayo, where you're at?
It's very different. Sol De Mayo, we have a bit of a younger team. The Gimnasia team is a lot older, a lot more experienced. They have a lot more players that high caliber. They used to play in the first division. Look, they're fighting for promotion into the first division. So obviously the team definitely has a lot more quality. In Sol De Mayo, we have a lot of younger players who are making their breakthrough season this season. So it's been a difficult season, but very, very challenging. So I'd say, yeah, obviously Gimnasia, the quality here is incredible. Sol De Mayo has a few good players. A striker played in the first division. A few played in Europe, in Greece. So there's quality for sure.
And in terms of training and the schedule, what's the difference?
The schedule's quite similar. We train once a day, every day apart from the day after the game. So the same as here. Gym a few times a week at the club. And then obviously I'll do my own stuff anyway. But yeah, the schedule is similar.
So what was it like being the first Australian to ever play a professional game in Argentina?
Yeah, it was a close race with another Australian. I thought it was going to be, but he didn't end up making his debut at all. To my surprise, everyone's surprise. So yeah, no, it was a good feeling. It was a good feeling for sure. But I always want more and more. I made my debut, then it was like, okay, I was the first Australian to play. What's next? Okay, the first Australian to score. I scored. So yeah, I'm very happy. Yeah, the 11 games. In terms of 11 games, it was so difficult. Like definitely the hardest sort of environment to play in terms of the team we had wasn't great. Young team, as I said, the physicality of the league was quite heavy. Yeah, so it it was a difficult season, but yeah, I'm very happy. You know, when I watch the games back, all the commentators every time they say something about me, they always like mention Australiano. Like it's such a rare thing. So it's always a good feeling to be acknowledged. So yeah, I'm very happy.
So going on for what you just said about Sol De Mayo and the difficulty of those games that you played, it was a lot of ups and downs when you arrived for Sol De Mayo, let's just say. Like, away from home, horrible, terrible, barely any wins, somehow got a win against Hermina. Like, that basically put them into the stage they're right now, into like the promotion playoffs. But then at home, you guys were basically like unbeaten at home.
Yeah, I mean, at home we never lost. All the games I was involved in at home, I think maybe 6 or 7, we won all of them but one and drew the other one. So we never lost. Away from home, we lost every game apart from one, which we won, which was the most important game of the season. So yeah, it was, which is typical of the league. Like away from home, it's so difficult for various reasons. But at home, we were a completely different side. So yeah, it was typical of the league, to be honest. We definitely need more consistency away from home, but at the end of the day, we were in a relegation fight, and then you know when I came, we sort of won every second game at home. So when we played at home, so it was enough to get us to keep us up and put us in the position we are in now.
So the managerial tactics I'm going to talk about now. So the difference, what would you say, between the managerial tactics they were giving you? Well, obviously you didn't play a game for Gimnasio Jujuy. Well, unless you played one local game, that was it. But in terms of the tactics, in like first team training of that, what is is it really, really different from Sol De Mayo and Gimnasio Jujuy's first team tactics of the managers, or is it completely different style of play?
It's completely different. Gimnasia, the coach was very tactical, very specific in the movements of all the players. Sol De Mayo was more like, can we get the experienced players fit? And the league's a lot more direct. So the tactics wasn't as specific as Gimnasia. Gimnasia was, you know, where to play, where to move. Sol De Mayo was like, all right, where do we want the ball? Let's get it in an area and work off that. So yeah, it was a lot more direct. So, but as I said, the league was a lot more physical. So everyone played direct football. So the tactics definitely weren't as acute as like a team fighting for promotion to the first division. So yeah.
Now I'm going to talk about the mentality of the players. Now the difference between the ones obviously in the first team of Gimnasia and the first team of Sol De Mayo. Now, talking about the players, did they think differently? Like, how do they act? I want to know, how do you compare it from Gimnasia and Sol De Mayo? The players in your team, the people you're with every single day, what's it like?
I think the players at Sol De Mayo were a lot more realistic. The players at Gimnasia sort of go into every game expecting and wanting to win, whereas at Sol De Mayo, it's like, if we draw this game, like in a difficult game, that's a good result. So the mentality is definitely a lot different and a lot more, you know, we'll take this rather than like, oh yeah, we have to win. Which I suppose is good and bad, really. Obviously, you want to be trying to win every game, but the realism is good because, you know, it takes a bit of the pressure off. Like, all right, we only need a draw here. So yeah, the mentality is definitely different. You know, you're a team fighting for survival in the third division compared to a team trying to get promoted into the first division. The mentality is completely different of the players, for sure. And also the caliber of the players is obviously a lot higher in Gimnasia. So players like with less experience in Sol De Mayo, they definitely have the mentality is a lot different, for sure.
So obviously, I'm looking at Sol De Mayo, I'm looking at Gimnasio Jujuy. I don't know if you know, but 150 years since Sol De Mayo was founded as a club this year, August something, I'm not sure. But and then you look at Gimnasio Jujuy, right? It's probably been around the same time, but all this time, Sol De Mayo have just been in this division, the Federal A. This is the highest they've ever been. Well, then you look at Gimnasio Jujuy. They're right now in the Nacional, the second division, and then they're also at a stage in the 90s or 2000, whatever. that they were in the First Division.
First Division, yeah.
So when you look at the club entirely, what is the key difference? Because obviously one club's just been stuck in this division for so long, the other one's been up the top. What's the key difference in your opinion?
Well, obviously, Gimnasia, the club's a lot bigger. Viedma, where play Sol De Mayo, the city's a lot smaller, a lot less people. So, there's not many fans at the stadium here. In Jujuy Gimnasia, there's loads of fans, thousands and thousands. Like the fans, the people in the city, they're up to date with the club, like where the team are on the table, who the players are. Viedma, it's not really like that. It's not too many people who go to the games, not too many people sort of know too much about the club or any of the players or anything like that. So definitely Gimnasia are a lot bigger club with a lot more money. Obviously, been in the first division, where Sol De Mayo is in the third division, so it's a lot less money. So the infrastructure is definitely bigger, and obviously the salaries, and you can buy better players. So yeah, Gimnasia definitely bigger for sure.
Okay, season didn't really end, but the second half of the season ended just before the playoffs. You go to Buenos Aires, San Lorenzo first. What made you do these trials at San Lorenzo?
Yeah, the opportunity came up. San Lorenzo are a huge club. They're one of the biggest clubs in Argentina. So it was an opportunity I definitely couldn't miss. It was with their reserves. Obviously they're not going to take Australian into their first team. Only a few important games left, in the first division. So playing for their reserves is a huge, huge opportunity. And they said yes. So if I want to, I can go back there next January and play for their reserves. I said that's a huge opportunity. It will take a lot of time. It'll be so difficult to play for the first team, but even playing for the reserves for a huge club like San Lorenzo is massive exposure, and a lot of people can get big transfers out of the reserve division for big clubs like San Lorenzo.
Okay, massive news, as you said, being accepted for San Lorenzo. But then another Buenos Aires club you go to. What is that?
Independiente, yeah. So I went there the week after. They're bigger than San Lorenzo. They're probably the third or fourth biggest club in Argentina. That's the exact same deal for their reserves next January. So, yeah, I've got a decision to make whether I sort of want to try break into the first team here in the second division. Maybe they might get promoted Gimnasia to the first division. We don't know yet. Or play reserves at a first division club, Independiente or San Lorenzo, huge clubs. But yeah, those clubs are the training facilities, so many pitches, so much more money. Yeah, it was a good experience for sure.
And you were just talking about the pitches. How is it compared to obviously second division, Gimnasia Jujuy, and then obviously third division Sol De Mayo? The first division, their training pitches and everything. What's it like?
I mean, the training pitches for the reserves at the first division are 10 times better than what we train on in the third division. Our first team pitch, where we play the games in the third division, is actually quite good, but sort of the Astro pitch, where we do the training, most trainings, yeah, look, the first division clubs are obviously a lot better. Gimnasia have good facilities. I think most second division clubs would be pretty good, especially for their first team. But yeah, a lot of difference between like even the academy pitches and then the pitches we play on in the third division. I played on some shocking pitches away from home in the Federal A for sure. Some really bad pitches, but it's all part of the development and experience, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess it is what it is. But so back in Jujuy just for a little bit. Sol De Mayo on the weekend, they go 2-1 up in the first leg. So you could possibly get back in time to play the second leg next week. If not, do you think the team has a good chance of going through?
Look, the odds are definitely stacked against us. We're 2-1 up, but our away record is terrible. So probably needed a 2-goal buffer because, away from home it's completely different. But look, even if we win this tie, we still have multiple rounds to go if we want to get promoted. There's some huge clubs trying to get promoted. So look, from everyone I've talked to, it's like I've heard it's pretty much impossible. But we're in there, we're fighting, there's a chance. So yeah, anything can happen. Anything happen, but it'll be so difficult. It'll be so difficult for sure.
So anything can happen indeed, but obviously, anything can happen for you. Like, look at what's happened in the last year. What can happen next for you?
I mean, I don't even know at this point. I mean, it changes every week. I was looking at my camera roll, and this time last year, I was leaving for Italy. So it's been over a year now since I've left Australia, and it's just been ridiculous. Like, as you know, everything that's happened in Italy, Argentina, it's been a crazy year. So hopefully next year I can settle down. But at the moment it's crazy. Who knows where I'll be? Who knows what will happen? Wouldn't be surprised if, all of a sudden nicked off to bloody Asia, Africa. Like, who knows? Like, it changes. It changes every day. So we'll see what happens. But that's football. It's so volatile. It changes so quickly. So you got to be able to adapt and have the mental resilience to not get too high on the ups and not get too down when things fall through, because it happens so much. There's so much uncertainty. So we'll see what happens. But it's all part of it. It's all part of the growth and experience. So yeah, I'm happy.
And you love the adaptation, don't you?
I love it. It's always on the move, always interesting. It keeps the mind fresh, because when you're away from home for a long time, your mind you can get homesick. But when you're always moving around, and there's so much uncertainty, you almost don't have time to think about what's happening in Australia, with your family and stuff like that. So it's almost good in a way. But yeah, I mean, sometimes definitely, it's difficult, but I do sort of relish the uncertainty. It sort of makes me appreciate every day more, because I know how uncertain times can be. So when, I am relaxed for a few weeks, or, I'm playing in Vietnam and I'm there for the rest of the season, you definitely do appreciate those times more, rather than now when it ends and I'm sort of moving Buenos Aires, here, there, everywhere. So yeah, it definitely makes me appreciate it more. So it's definitely a good experience.
Nicely said. Where to next for Sammy Barry? Is he going to relax back in Australia, or will another turn of events come again?
I don't know.
Do not forget to like, subscribe, and also follow Sammy Barry. His Instagram details will be in the description. Now, stay tuned for this channel, because maybe this guy could go somewhere else next.
We'll see what happens. Who knows, honestly? I don't.
All right, see you guys next week on That Football Podcast.
Thanks for having me.